Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. I was 14 years old when 9/11 happened, and it scared the crap out of me of ever wanting to fly again. And I told my mom that I'm never going to fly again because she and I had been fighting about some Christmas vacation plans. We ended up traveling locally that Christmas, and we had a good time. But I told my mom I was never going to fly again, and my mom was really upset about that remark. At the time, 3 of my grandparents were still alive, and my mom says, "I think you have an obligation." They lived in Taiwan. My mom said, "I think you have an obligation to fly 3 more times in your lifetime." And I asked my mom why 3, and she pointed out my grandparents, and she basically said that it was my obligation to go to their funerals. Well, here I am in Taipei on my second obligatory trip and having a great time in my life. But you know what? It wasn't the idea of my grandparents that got me back into flying. What had happened was when I was in college, I had a very toxic relationship with a girl, and she was American, and I decided to start dating foreign girls, especially Asians, and later on Eastern Europeans, and then even later on Middle Eastern girls. And that's when I decided I had to get over my fear of flying in order to network with any of these people, because I'll meet a Chinese girl, even if it's back in the United States, and she hears that I'm never going to fly to her home country. That's not going to go very well. And so I got over my fear of flying. What's really interesting is that I didn't get another fear of flying again, but I did, not for the physical aspect of it, but after COVID-19, there were a lot of stories about fights breaking out on airplanes, air rage kind of stories. I have social anxiety as it is, and I have big fears revolving around that. So I also have to be careful about food allergies. So I get on a plane and I talk to the person next to me, "Hey, would you be mindful while you're eating?" I never restrict anybody from eating anything, by the way. But be mindful to keep your food to your area. Thank you very much. 90% of the time it goes well. Every so often you get somebody who thinks it's their constitutional right to make a mess while they eat. And those kind of discussions have a tendency to blow up in my face. And when I heard all the air rage stories on the news, I got a little bit scared of that. Now, fortunately, that has passed, and it's everything seems good now. Now, a little bit of interesting statistic: if you're fearful of flying, in terms of the safety aspect, in terms of the plane crashes or terrorism, I recently learned that you're much more likely to be killed by interstellar radiation on a flight than you are from a crash, right? Of course, if you are killed that way on your death certificate, there's not going to be a mention of the plane, right? It's going to say cancer, it's going to say heart disease or whatever, right? And it could be years after the flight, and the flight could be the last thing on your mind, right? This is the Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum.